Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I am coming to you guys with my Week 7 battle of the PMC Season Number 2. We are the Baltimore Oriolus, and this week we're going up against the Orlando City Serperiors, coached by DPad Gam3r, as you can see on the screen here. Shoutouts to my good friend Alcoholic Gamer Boy for recording this battle for me in that crisp 1080p. Definitely appreciate that. If you did not watch my team builder, let me quickly go over the team. I have a specially defensive Assault Vest Electros, meant to counter Manaphy with Full Switch, Thunderbolt, Giga Drain, and Knockoff. I have a Life Orb, specially based mixed Salamence. I also have a Choice Scarf Volcarona with U-Turn. I have a Payapa Berry Mirror Coat Tentacruel. I have a specially defensive Stealth Rock Steelix, and I have a physically defensive Calm Mind Reuniclus. He has brought Manaphy, Mismagius, Rotom Heat, Jirachi, Sandslash, and Lopunny. Now, despite the all-stars on the squad, like the Manaphy, Jirachi, and Lopunny, the Pokemon that I'm really afraid of is the Rotom, because I don't have anything that can really switch into it. If it is something like Life Orb or Choice Specs, there's chance that he's running defensive, in which case I can handle it a little bit better. Salamence doesn't particularly care about dealing with the Rotom. Electros can take a hit or two, but I don't really want to take a lot of damage on Electros, because I need it for Manaphy, and Salamence I would like it around just so I can drop Dracos and things like that. We're going to go ahead and lead off with our Electros because it has a relatively good matchup against this entire team. If he decides to leave with Sandslash or decides to switch into Sandslash, we actually outsped that thing with our Speed Creep, or assuming he runs no investment. And we can hit it up with Giga Drain, even if he wants to knock us off. That wouldn't be great, but it might be worth it to just get the Sandslash out of the way. So yeah, we'll go ahead and hop on into this battle, and we'll see what DPad is going to decide to lead. So he is going to issue that challenge, and as you can see, he is going to lead off with Jessica, aka the Mega Lopunny. Now, I could take a Fake Out or a Return or a High Jump pick here, but I really don't want to, and I have a really great switch into this thing in my Reuniclus, which is rocking the Rocket Helmet, no pun intended. So if he goes for the Fake Out, he's probably going to take more damage in recoil than he's going to do to myself. And as he completes his Mega Evolution here, you guys are going to see that he does in fact go for the Fake Out. Now, I know that he's not going to want to stay in with this thing, and I'm expecting the Jirachi to come in, because that's his best Side Shock switch in. So I go for the Focus Blast, predicting that, but he actually brings in the Rotom Heat. And I go for the Focus Blast, I do miss, which is unfortunate. Now, the way he brought this in made me think that he's going to go for a trick. Like, if having a Choice Scarf or a Choice Specs on this Reuniclus would be really crappy. So I figured the Salamence, which is specially based, wouldn't mind getting a Specs or a Scarf. So I do switch that in. He does go for the trick. I'm like, great, I predicted this perfectly. We're off to a really good start. And then he shows that he has Flame Orb. And I'm just thinking to myself, what? Not that I don't think it's a cool set, but Flame Orb doesn't do anything to Reuniclus. So anyway, he does switch out because he doesn't want to take a Dragon Move or a Draco Meteor. Predicting his Jirachi switch in, I do go for the Fire Blast, because that's the only thing that he had on his team, as I said, that really could take a Dragon Move. So now I'm going to switch on out of here into my Steelix, but he is going to make a good prediction and send out the Manaphy. And this is obviously putting me in a precarious situation, because if he clicks Tail Glow here, it's going to be pretty tough to play around. So I am going to pretty quickly switch on out here and go into my Electros, because I only take like 55-60% from a +3 Scald. He goes for Rain Dance, which is very cool. Manaphy is definitely really scary in the rain. This doesn't help me identify his set any, though, because he could still be Tail Glow with Rain Dance, or he could be defensive with like Calm Mind or something like that. I'm not going to play around. I'm just going to click T-Bolt as he sends in this Rotom. And he goes for the Will-O-Wisp, which is definitely a good play, hurting the survivability of my Electros. I am just going to go ahead and Volt Switch on out of here. And this is a good opportunity for me to go into my Tentacruel. Now that I know he's not Choice Scarf, I did EV my Tentacruel to outspeed this Rotom. So with the help of the Rain, I know that this Scald can kill the Rotom if he doesn't have any physical, any HP investment. So I do go for the Scald. He brings in the Jirachi as a sack. So that was probably his best play. Having the Jirachi dead is really great for me, because now both my Salamence and my Reuniclus just have a field day versus his team. The Mismagius comes in, and I'm wondering if it's either going to go for Psychic or T-Bolt. I do just go for the Scald and Retaliation. The T-Bolt actually didn't do all that much damage. It doesn't show the Life Orb or anything like that. Maybe it's Choice Scarf, I'm not actually sure. But I am going to switch on out into the Steelix, predicting the Thunderbolt again. And now I know that this thing does get Will-O-Wisp, so I'm actually going to make a double out into my Volcarona as he makes a switch out into his Sand Slash. And so he brought this thing in because he knows it can threaten me with Earthquake, and it can also spin away my rocks that I might have set up. Volcarona, again, switched it in so that I could take a Will-O-Wisp potentially. I can just go ahead and Volt Switch on out of here. Or sorry, U-turn on out of here and not feel too bad about it. Reuniclus with its full physical defense investment is pretty good to take this thing on, and based on the U-turn damage, I don't think that this Sand Slash is offensive. It's a little unfortunate they knocked off my Rocky Helmet, but we can easily go for Recover here and not feel too bad about it. He goes for Stealth Rock, and because this thing only has Earthquake and Knock Off as attacking moves, presumably, and the fact that it already knocked off my item, and the fact that it's completely defensive means that this is a really, really good opportunity to click Calm Mind, especially because he doesn't have a Psychic Resist remaining on his team. So he brings in the Rotom, and I'm just thinking, now that I have a +1 boost, even this thing is max special attack, even taking into account the Life Orb that he took when he used Trick, I can easily take a Heat Wave. So I'm just going to go for Calm Mind again, as he goes for Will-O-Wisp. So I think it's a little bit unfortunate. I don't know that DPad realized that Reuniclus gets Magic Guard, because now that's the second time that he's tried to burn this Pokemon with a Rotom. So now I'm at +2/+2, I'm at basically full health, and I am ready to go. So this Mismagius is going to switch in, it's going to take this Side Shock to the face. Mismagius does not have good physical defense, and it goes down. And at this point, I'm pretty happy. I don't really know what he might use to counter this thing. He goes into Sand Slash and goes for Knockoff just because he wants something that could do a little bit of damage to me. It does do like 25%. I go for Side Shock, it does a tremendous amount. He reveals the Citrus Berry, and he is going to go for Knockoff again. There's no reason for me to do anything but recover here because I can get to basically full health. And on the following turn, I can knock him out with a Side Shock. I'll be at about 75% health, and he will be down to 4 Pokemon. He will have the Lopunny, the Manaphy, the Rotom, and no, I guess that's it, because Jirachi, Mismagius are now dead. So yeah, he just has 3 Pokemon. So he sends him the Lopunny. I do the Calc. A Fake Out plus a Return is actually not enough to kill me. It's going to be close if he gets a crit or something like that. It's going to be the case. And then based off that damage, I also know that he's Jolly, not Adamant. So that makes the chances of living even better. As you can see, I end up with 30 HP out of 217 after that return, and I'm in a position just to recover on up to full here. He can continue to spam Return, which is totally fine. We might even be out of crit range at this point. So I'm just going to continue to get up to as much HP as possible. I'm not sure that I'll be able to get to exactly full, because, you know, he is going to hit me up with a Return, which is going to do about 35-40% to me. So we'll be sitting at like 60% when all is said and done. I do think I'm not sure if I click it one more time or if I go for Side Shock here. I do just go for the Side Shock. So now, yeah, things are looking really nice. We are up 6-2. It only has left is Rotom and Manaphy. So he does go into that Manaphy, and I'm still fearing a Calm Mindset. Because, you know, he can like boost up alongside me. The nice thing is that he doesn't have a move that can hit me on the physical side, whereas I do have Side Shock, so that pretty much ignores all the special attack boosts that he gets. He's just going to go for Scald Dive for no reason not to recover. And, you know, this is looking like a pretty, pretty one-sided game. And I do go for the Side Shock. I'm a little bit surprised by how little it does. It definitely reveals to me that he's fully physically defensive. So that, you know, again, sort of solidifies in my mind that he's not Tail Glow. But he, you know, could still be Calm Mind, which is still a problem. He goes for the Rain Dance as I go for Side Shock. And I am going to actually land a crit on this when he lives with maybe 2 HP, which is a little unfortunate for me. But now that he has the Rain up, I am going to be anticipating a rest from him here. So I get a little bit greedy and I click Calm Mind again. The better play probably would have been to recover, just because, it again it takes advantage of him going for rest again. There's really, it kind of accomplishes the same thing. But, I'm still in a good position to take him out. He's still at a low bit of health. If he rests here, then we can 2-hit KO him. But he goes for the Scald, and he actually gets the crit, which takes us out with the benefit of the rain. So we were almost going to get a 6-0, but now we are down our Reuniclus. So we are still up 5-2, so things are still looking good. But I'm actually a little bit scared now, because this Manaphy, if it shows Calm Mind, can really do some damage, because I don't have a Mon with like a powerful physical attack on my team. So he does go for the rest. I go for the Volt Switch, which is going to do about 45% to this thing. I should have just clicked T-Bolt twice, but no matter. We are going to bring in our Salamence, and even though we are burned, we could drop a Draco and do good damage to this thing. Should be able to take it out as long as it doesn't have any boosts. And judging by how defensive he is, I don't think he's going to outspeed us. We are max speed Salamence. So once all of the in-between action, all the in-between turn action takes place, he is going to switch on out into the Rotom Heat as we drop a Draco. This is a Life Orb max special attack Draco Meteor from a Salamence, so this is definitely a scary move for him to deal with. He actually lives with like 5 HP, and so I go for the Draco Meteor again here, just to take this thing out. My other moves are Outrage, Fire Blast, and Iron Tail, and so none of those moves are going to be particularly good against this Rotom. So I just go for the Draco Meteor again. Now the Manaphy is his last Pokemon. It is going to come back on in here. I go into my calc and I'm like, okay, if I click Outrage twice, this Manaphy, even if it's fully physically defensive, is going to die. I completely fail to take into account the fact that I'm burned. And instead of doing like 30% twice, it does 15%. And he sets up the Rain Dance again, and I go, crap. If this thing really is Calm Mind, then I'm not actually sure I can deal with it. Because now I'm in here, I'm locked into Outrage, and I can't do hardly any damage to this thing. He can easily rest on this turn, get back up to full HP. And as you guys may have seen, I actually took 21 damage from the burn, and I have 22 HP remaining. Which means if I get locked into Outrage for an additional turn, I'm not going to die to the burn and get a chance to switch into something like Electros for free. Because if Electros can click Thunderbolt twice, I should be in a good enough position to win the game. But I do live on 1, and I do get locked into Outrage. So I have to click it one more time. I do a whopping 15% to this thing. We are confused, and we are going to die at the end of this turn. And he goes for Rest again. So the fact that he's been clicking Rest so often and hasn't clicked Calm Mind once this game does make me a little suspicious of whether he even has the move. But because he hasn't gone for it at this point, we can just go ahead and 2-hit KO with a Thunderbolt from the Electros. So that's what I'm going to do. We are now up 4-1 instead of 6-1 like I had originally hoped. But, it's because of a couple of misplays on my end that we are in this position. Luckily, we didn't choke the game away so badly that we will no longer be in the winning position. As you can see, that Thunderbolt does a good chunk of damage. He can rest up all he wants, and it is not going to be enough. We will 2-hit KO this thing. He just goes for a Scald. If he gets a crit here, that would be pretty crappy. But he does not get he does not get the crit. We go for the Thunderbolt, and the Manaphy is going to die to that attack. And so we wind up with a 4-0 victory against a very, very talented and scary opponent in DPad. This team is pretty highly regarded across the league in terms of its composition, and just dealing with those threats like Manaphy and Lopunny is just crazy. We got pretty fortunate in that the Reuniclus matched up so well versus the team that he brought. Once the Reuniclus got up to a couple of Spadef boosts, even the Mismagius with the super effective Shadow Ball was not going to do a lot, and it did not seem to be Life Orb, it did not seem to be Nasty Plot. Maybe it was like Nasty Plot Culper Berry or something like that. But without any sort of boosting capability, it was not going to be able to damage us. The Jirachi could not take a hit. or sorry, it was dead, so it could not take a hit, because, you know, was really his only counter to the Reuniclus. And yeah, even with the crit, we were able to claw our way back and get a really nice victory. So shoutouts to DPad, great battle. Make sure you guys go check out his channel. He does a lot of really cool content. He does lots of Pokemon content and also some other Let's Plays. He has some really cool content featuring his daughter that I highly recommend. So do want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check back next week. Our opponent next week is going to be Kyle, coach of the Mesquite Mespritz, and he's got one hell of a team. We will, of course, break it down in next week's team building video. Hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you check back to my channel so you can get up to date on all of my latest gaming and Pokemon content. So until the next time, I will see you guys later.